customers want to hit continue?
I did, yes.
Okay. And a million customers served, and we've got a little just over, I think, 33 or 34,000 customer reviews. 4.8 out of 5 stars. We've made a number of videos on how and who is BikeFlights, how to use the service, guided tours of the box, how to pack. We are releasing a new series on, really some of the just quick 1-minute videos that you can do to help your shipment get there successfully.
So we're going to start out next by kind of just at a high level, dispelling some common shipping myths before we get into some details and how your shop can use our service. So the first myth we're going to look at is myth number 1. All bike boxes are created equal. We often talk about boxes and we talk about cases, and all the boxes get lumped together and we act like they're all the same, but they're not really the same. Dylan, do you want to talk us through that a little bit, the box side of things?
Yep. We see it. We've seen a ton of different types of boxes used, and as you guys know, it's always best to reuse the best quality bike boxes that you get, right? Generally, higher priced bikes come in better boxes because they want to protect them. Many shops keep those around for shipping. We highly suggest that. But we do also see, bike boxes with holes, tears, cut open with cut open with a box cutter and then taped back together where it's not really a box. That compromises the shipment. If you need to purchase a box, right? If you don't have a box, given the supply right now, we've come out with a series of bike boxes that are ISTA6 certified, meaning they're dropped from 38 inches for over 12 hours. They're compression loaded, super easy to pack, 2 different sizes, and will get your bike there safely.
So our next shipping myth, we hear this quite a lot. I don't need to buy protection because I know how to pack a bike. And it's like little sister cousin one is, I've been shipping for years and I've never had anything damaged, so I don't need to buy protection. They're kind of related. So want to elaborate on that one, Bill?
Yeah, the shipping system is really full right now, right? And so the e-commerce has grown, as you know. Just because something hasn't happened in the past doesn't mean it's not going to hurt. It's not going to happen in the future. It is a challenging time to be in bicycle shipping. We have a lot of advanced solutions to try to make sure that we can monitor and track your bikes for you above and beyond what you have access to. But carrier damage and loss are real. In these conditions, I can't stress making sure that your bike has enough protection.
And our last shipping myth, it's kind of similar to the first one, but different, is that all shipping services are created equal, and that you can just interchangeably use them and they're all going to be the same. And that's not really true. We get asked a lot of times, why use BikeFlights? And we'd like to think that we offer a really good customer experience. And so we wanted to share some data we recently compiled and published earlier. Maybe want to elaborate on that, Bill?
Yeah, there were as I said, COVID presented a number of unique challenges for us last year, as well as all carriers. FedEx, Postal Service, UPS, all their systems were strained. Our system was strained on top of that. Our customer service department was always, trying to meet the needs of customers because everybody was elevated during that time. Everybody was at home. Everybody was looking to get stuff in and out of their house. 3 different time periods last year that ShipMatrix, an independent firm, audited UPS, Postal Service, and FedEx. And we, with our advanced services and enterprise level additions to the normal UPS system, actually beat UPS and the other carriers during that time. We feel that we're not done. It's like, that's something like we look at all those numbers and we have all the data and we know where we can further improve. and we're working currently to improve, but uh, it's not the same. We really try to make sure that we've gone out and contracted for some of the additional services that you need to really get your bikes there with confidence.
So in the next part of the presentation, I'm going to talk you guys through how your shops can benefit by using BikeFlights services. And so we're going to focus on kind of two parts. The first is sort of helping what happens behind the counter, helping the bottom line, helping operations. The second is going to be adding value and improving and strengthening your existing customer relationships. So a typical just by virtue of working with us, you have the opportunity to leverage our brand. And as Bill mentioned, we were founded in 2009, and we've worked really hard ever since then to build our reputation. We continue to do that every day. It's really important to us to do things as well as possible. We are the official bike shipping service of the Tour de France, and work with a couple hundred events in the US and beyond to serve their participants in getting their bikes there and back. But we're not just about event shipping. A lot of people do think of us that way. There's a lot of different ways that you can tap into our services to work with yourself and with your customers. So I'm going to talk through a couple of those ways. The first one is how you as a shop might use BikeFlight for your services if you're not already doing so. A really big opportunity is in the e-commerce world. With COVID happening, that shifted a lot of people to purchasing more online than they ever did before. We're probably not going to stop doing that just because COVID comes to an end. And on top of that, as inventories have been strained in various places, you might find yourself in a position where you're selling more frequently to someone remotely because their own local shop doesn't have something, but you happen to have something. So you can use BikeFlights anytime you sell something online to any of those customers and need to get it to them. You can also use our service to send things off to different places, whether you've got to send something back to a manufacturer, or you've got a busted carbon mountain bike frame you've got to send off for repair, or you've got a fork or shock that needs service beyond what you're handling in your own shop. You can use us for any of those purposes. And finally, we find that some of our partner shops that have multiple locations that aren't in very close geographic proximity will use our service to redistribute inventory around from shop to shop as needed. When it comes to shipping on behalf of your customer, like I said before, probably we're best known for a lot of people in being a service that will get your bike to wherever you're going. So if you're traveling, whether it's going to an event, whether you're going on vacation, whether you've got a work trip and you want to take your bike, not take it on a plane, you can ship it with BikeFlights. But we do more than that. We also find that customers will, sell something online, sell a bike on Pink Bike or eBay or somewhere, and they've got to get it to the new owners. They might come into your shop and ask for help with packing it and shipping it to the new customer. By virtue of serving as a pickup or drop-off location for customers using BikeFlights, you also have the opportunity to increase the traffic within your store. So that every time somebody comes in to pick up a bike at the end of their trip or drop it off before they're going wherever they're going, that's an opportunity for you to see them, to interact with them, to build a relationship with them, and maybe even add some additional sales while they pick up something else while they're there. So this is an example of sort of the overall experience we try to create. It's a little different everywhere, but we really strive to make it as seamless as possible. Shipping is definitely not inherently easy, it's challenging. So we try to make it as good and as easy an experience as possible for everyone. So in this example, you'll see customer goes to the bike shop. They show up with their bike and they're like, hey, I need to ship this. And then from this point, we would suggest they work with you on acquiring the shipping and the labels for their shipment. Any services that they might need, maybe they need to get their bike tuned up before it gets packed and shipped off to wherever it's going. Maybe while they're in there, they're like, oh yeah, I'm about to go out to my ride. I need to pick up a spare tube. I lost my multi-tool last week on the trail. I'm going to get another one of those. And I also need to grab a water bottle or whatever. They get what they need. You check them out. They leave the store, and then you've got the bike. You pack the bike. You ship the bike, and it ends up at wherever you end up putting it. I used the example of a destination, but it could just as easily have been the sale or any other purpose. So let's get a little more specific next on how you can use BikeFlights to generate more revenue for your shop. So Bill's already covered bike boxes a little bit, and I'll give you a little more background on it. Our boxes are sturdy, they're generally easy to pack, they're recyclable. They come in all packed downward, just like that top lid's on the bottom lid and all folded down together. So the nice thing about that is if you're planning to use it for multiple shipments, you can pack it back down to a nice small compact size that you can easily stow under your bed or in a closet between trips. We did launch these boxes last October, so they're still really quite new. We've been pleasantly surprised by what demand there is for bike boxes. So if you're having trouble having boxes at your shop, you want more boxes to have on hand, this is one way you can do it. You can sell bike boxes. Our bike boxes come in two sizes. Bike box large and bike box medium is what we call them. The large one is its biggest advantages. It requires very little disassembly to pack the bike. So take off the front wheel, drop the seat, take off the pedals, take off or turn the bars depending on the bike, remove any extraneous accessories, and put it in the box. And pretty fast, pretty easy, pretty simple to do. Bike box medium, we offer two different sizes because it's a trade-off. You can have easy to pack, fast to pack, pay a little more for shipping because it's a larger box, or you can pay less for shipping and take a little bit more time to pack it into a smaller container. So bike box medium was intentionally sized to give you the most economical, best possible rates for all different kinds of shipments. It's great for shipping, a majority of gravel bikes, road bikes, and even some smaller mountain bikes or kids bikes, whereas bike box large is big enough to accommodate most full suspension mountain bikes, e-bikes, and other larger bikes. So we mentioned that, we offer boxes, but another way you can, generate some revenue is to sell bundled services. So let's say you've got customers that are coming to your shop and they're going to be heading out to Unbound, or they're going to be heading, out to Belgian Waffle Ride. They come to you, they want to have their bike packed and shipped out to the event that they're doing. You could sell that as a bundled service, sell our service as well as sell your service of packing. And we never dictate any pricing on what you charge for packing a bike or any services you offer. So that's up to you. Another thing you could do is offer a service bundle of receiving a bike, assembling it, and tuning it up. So we'll work with shops, for example, in the location or town of where an event is happening, and they'll offer that service that our mutual customers can buy into. You could throw a box even into any of these combinations, but what is important is that if you do offer bundled services, make sure people are aware of it. If nobody knows that you offer it, they're not going to ever order it. It's like, think of a menu, and if nothing's on the menu, you might not ask for it. We suggest, and many shops do take this approach, not everyone does, but we do encourage shops to act like a concierge in the shipping process. And the way that you would do this, we're going to talk a little bit later in the presentation about our Top Shop program, and I'll give you more details on that. But if you're able to join our Top Shop program, or you already have, you get access to discounted shipping rates, discounted box rates, and then you have the opportunity to mark those rates up to the standard consumer rates that a consumer would get if they booked directly on the site. But then we suggest, even if you're doing the booking and shipping and transferring that charge on to them, don't forget to add in an additional fee that covers your time for doing it. So time is money, time is valuable. You're taking care of things for them, reducing their hassle, reducing their effort, reducing their time, making it really convenient. And you can sell that convenience by adding a fee to account for that. Why do you want to do this? Yeah, it is a little bit more work on your end, but there's a lot of good reasons to play that role of concierge. We find that, if you're handling the customer's shipment for something, you have the reassurance of knowing the bike is really well packed because your staff did it and you know how to pack bikes really well. You also know that the label was booked correctly and the dimensions were correct, the weight was correct because you did it yourself. And then on top of that, you can make sure that enough protection is purchased to cover the value of your shipment should something happen. So you're not left in an awkward position of there wasn't enough coverage and something did happen. And then finally, as the coordinator and the booker of the shipment, you get all the direct communication about pickups and shipment status in the lead up to the order. So that helps facilitate everything going out on time right from the start of the process. So we suggest that approach. You don't have to do it that way, but it's worked really well for a lot of our shops. Another thing you can do is, for those of you who are selling in the e-commerce world, I'm sure you've seen this as a consumer yourself. Anytime you're on the website, you see like free shipping for orders over $50 or orders over $100. You can work that into your pricing structure. Use BikeFlights, look at what the rates are going to cost for what you're going to be selling, work that into the pricing, and then, if they order more than a certain amount, you can advertise free shipping. And we all know nothing is free, and certainly shipping is not free. But if you work it into your other pricing structure, you can sell that as something that people have very much come to expect. Pickups are another thing that we wanted to mention, and different shops handle this in different ways. If your shop already has an existing UPS pickup, maybe they come every day at a certain time, you never need to schedule an individual specific pickup for any given shipment. You can just hand off the bike or whatever you're shipping to the UPS driver when he or she arrives at your store on that regular basis. If you're a smaller shop and maybe you don't have a regularly scheduled pickup in place, that's no problem. When you're booking the shipment, there's an option to select a pickup for any given individual shipment. And you can do that, and we'll send a driver to come get it at the appointed day that you've specified in your booking. Bill mentioned this earlier, e-bikes, huge potential opportunity out there. I know some parts of the country already see a lot more than others, but all the numbers we've been seeing, more and more e-bike sales. And just like with any bike, you get a bike, you start riding it, you love it, and of course there's this urge to take it places, to travel places, and you might break it and need to fix it. So there's an increasing need to be able to ship e-bikes, and we do that at BikeFlights. Our current process now requires people who are shipping e-bikes to have a certification in order to get labels, and that's to ensure compliance with DOT procedures for proper packing of e-bikes. E-bikes have to be shipped with the batteries completely installed. And it does take a little time, but not a lot, to get the certification and get set up. So a lot of individual consumers aren't going to want to do that for the once or twice they might travel with their bike in the course of a year. If your shop gets it, you can then offer that service to your customers. Oh, you want to ship your e-bike? No problem. Bring it in. We'll pack, ship, and book for you. And once you complete the certification, we set up your account so that your labels come to you automatically, just like they would for non-e-bike shipments. When you do ship with us, we get you to create an account. It literally takes about 1 to 2 minutes on the site with whatever email address you're going to use as the primary account holder. And then once you get it created, it's useful if you take just a few minutes and set it up. You can make your shipping so much more efficient. We have the capability within our accounts to do things like saved frequently used addresses or frequently used boxes or payment methods. And the advantage to that is, let's say you have a handful of customers you're always shipping to, you could just put their addresses straight in there. If you're always shipping back to a certain manufacturer, you can put that address right in there, and then all you have to do is select it from a drop-down menu and not have to type the details every time you order. And that's also true for any boxes that aren't already in our pre-populated menus, or any cases that aren't already in there, or your payment methods. And the cool thing about the payment method is you don't see the whole map, you don't see all the details of the payment method when you put it in there. So if you are sharing that account amongst a couple of your key shipping employees, they don't necessarily see all the details of that. You can just set it up and then tell them to use it to fulfill your shop shipping. When you have an account, you are able to see all of your order information in one place, which is really helpful if you're managing multiple shipments. It makes it easy to quickly check on status of the shipments. It makes it really easy to print out a bunch of labels at once. We do email you your labels, but you don't have to deal with 5 separate emails. You can just go to your account and print them all out. And a feature I wanted to highlight was that we do now offer thermal labels, something we started offering last year, which thermal labels are great for sticking really well. So if you are doing a lot of shipping, get a thermal printer and just go into the account, click on your order. You can select a regular paper label or a thermal label and print to whichever printer is appropriate for either one of those. So we've talked a little bit about how you can, what can you specifically do to work with BikeFlights and improve your bottom line and work with your customers? We thought it would be important to work with you and share some really common important shipping tips. And if you can do the things that we mentioned in these next couple of tips, it's a great opportunity to help your shipment be really successful. So Bill and I are going to take turns here sharing some different tips with you. Bill, do you want to run through this first one, tip number 1?
Yep. Know what you can ship and what you can't. At BikeFlights, we ship bikes, wheels, and gear. Pretty much anything that's bike related. You can do small portable trainers. You can do some, but we don't ship gas grills, prohibited items like bear spray, fine art, car doors, things like that. We didn't, we do other types of exercise, there's a lot of things that you can't ship as far as DOT regulations. And so we always try to stress those things.
Great. And you might laugh about the gas grill, but we've had people try to do that. So
we actually had a gas grill.
Yes,
we now use that as our example everywhere.
So tip number 2, I'll go ahead and share that one. Use a high quality box or case. That's one of the best things you can do to ensure the success of your shipment. You want it to be big enough so you can put plenty of packing and padding material in there. We do ship all different kinds of boxes and cases, not only cardboard boxes. You don't have to use our cardboard box. You can use any cardboard box. You can also ship hard and soft cases. Tip number 3A.
Understanding how dimensions affect your shipping rates. There's a couple different sizes, as there's, all carriers have implemented tremendous additional handling and large package surcharges. When your shipment is under 130 inches, such as our bike box medium, you will get the best rates. For additional handling, less than 48 inches, less than the second height, the second side is less than 30 inches tall, and your overall dimensions are less than 105 inches, which when I say that is length plus 2 times width plus 2 times the height. Typically the maximums within the US is 165 inches. Internationally, it's more, we have one more little click. One more, it gets at, it's like 157. And so our bike box large, even though it's really big and easy to pack, and we'll put in, a full suspension mountain bike in there relatively easily, still ships internationally below the maximal size.
Great. Tip number 3B, not only does size matter, but weight also matters. And it's helpful to understand how that influences your rates. So some numbers that we're throwing out here: best shipping rates when your shipment is 50 pounds or less, you get the best rates. Over 50 pounds, it starts to go up, and there's a maximum above which you can ship. And one thing to emphasize that's important with both size and weight is the maximums do matter. If you ship something that's too large size-wise or too heavy weight-wise, there are pretty strict and severe penalties for that can cost you quite a bit of money. So it is important to make sure you stay under those limits.
The penalties for that now are about $1,000 on both carriers. So if you have something that's right near the maximal, always look to make sure it's below it and you can document it.
All right.
Tip number 4, enter accurate dimensions and weight during booking. You always want to, most bike boxes and cases bulge. So we always suggest that when you measure your box, you always round up, because you're going to be measuring on the corners. And if it's a little bit over, just like a weight, if it's 21.6 pounds is 22 pounds. The reason we mention that, if something gets audited, all this, it will be put on the belt, it'll be put on a special train. If it is audited, it will get pulled aside. And in this environment that is so crowded, things that get pulled aside start to, basically, they stop tracking. Once they stop tracking, your package will be delayed, even despite we're looking for it and monitoring it the whole time to try to get it back in the system.
Tip number 5, pack properly. So I'm not going to give you a whole lot of packing tips right now, but I'm going to point you again to our website, bikeflights.com/pack, and especially also our YouTube channel. We do have videos of how to pack our specific bike boxes, how to pack a couple of different cases and boxes in general, and even a bunch of specific packing tips. So, some of you might find it useful. Maybe you've packed a bike for years and you know exactly how to do it. But if you're training staff, feel free to tap into our resources. We really just want everybody to learn how to do it well, because the better you do it, the better your overall shipping experience is going to be, and the less likelihood of damage. Next, tip 6.
Take photos to document your shipping contents and packing. With mobile phones, it's really simple to sit there and snap a picture. It protects protects you should the customer have a question about how well your bike was packed. And it really makes the claims process, should something happen, really fast on our part. We can get your claim settled in a matter of minutes.
And if your luggage, your luggage tag comes off or your label falls off, having a picture even just of the outside of the box is really helpful to us when you're like, my package stopped tracking and we need to find it in the system. Being able to show someone this is what you're looking for is invaluable. Tip number 7, prevent fraud. Fraud is only increasing every day, and especially as the volume of e-commerce shipments is going up. So we really, really encourage you to have good habits. And while it's tempting to want to just sell that $5,000 bike or $10,000 bike as quickly as you can, it's worth taking the time to verify payment address information and details with whomever's purchasing, especially if you don't know them and haven't worked with them before. So take time to ask for a second form of ID, to call and verify that the numbers they provided were legit before you let that bike go out your door in a shipment. And then we also do encourage you to purchase at least $500 in protection, but really you should purchase the amount that covers the amount of whatever you're shipping. That $500 mark is important because that is where it triggers a signature guarantee. And I do have to issue the asterisk that it's a little bit less enforced during COVID. There's been some changes a little bit, but it is more likely to require some confirmation of delivery. There's not a signature, contact with the person receiving it if it's $500 or more. Tip number 8.
Purchase protection. A couple different levels of protection. We always recommend, if you just sold a bike, you cover it for the amount that you sold it for. Our default value is $200 of coverage, which is twice what the normal, which is double the amount that you would get from a normal carrier. We do cover bikes up to $20,000 on our policy. It scales. At $500, you get a signature. At $1,000, you get preferred handling and a control log. We've worked it where you'll get 2 additional pieces of paper when you print your labels. They are, in fact, just a copy of a receipt in a director. It's a program with UPS that the driver will scan your package there and also sign this and leave it as documented that they have it. With that, it is basically checked, and it's like a relay. It is handed from one person to the next person throughout the process through delivery.
Tip number 9, allow time for delays. We do really pride ourselves on-time delivery and work really hard to make that happen. The reality is sometimes it doesn't happen. And so especially if you have a time-sensitive shipment for yourself or for your customer, we do encourage building a little bit of cush time. Nobody can control if there's going to be a hurricane or a snowstorm or a tornado or a pandemic happens. And that all of those things can sometimes cause delays on very short notice that can influence a shipment. And it's not only where you're shipping to and from and what the conditions are there, your shipment actually has to travel all the way in between. So it might be beautiful and sunny, on the East Coast and the West Coast, but you've got to ship it across the middle of the country and there's a big snowstorm on the way. So we just encourage you build in a little bit of cush time because it'll just give everyone a better experience. And tip number 10, kind of 2 tips.
This is the number one. It's the last tip, but it's probably the number one tip.
Well, I like to save the best for last because if you forget everything else we say in the course of the presentation, just remember this one thing and it'll make everybody's life better.
Yeah, we can't tell you the number of for shops that reuse boxes, right? And that's most shops, right? And we love shops reusing boxes, right? Except for often some of the best boxes right now are for e-bikes. And when you ship an e-bike, when it comes to you, it's shipped usually less than truckload freight, and it needs to have that hazmat sticker. But when it goes back out to the customer, or you put a different bike in it, that hazmat sticker has to be covered entirely. No little piece of diamond can be showing because it would be recognized. So removing all the hazmat stickers, removing old shipping labels, it may have been, that bike box may have been shipped to you, and you didn't take that old label off, right? And so you put your new BikeFlights label on there. It goes out, and 2 days later, it's redelivered to you because it's using the old label. So take off your old labels, cover old markings, and put on the fresh labels, and that'll solve a lot of issues for you.
Awesome. And something to mention, we're, like I said, rolling out a bunch of videos on our site. There's some how-to videos. There's how to attach your label to a box. There's about to be one today, how to attach your label to a case. So those are great resources to make sure that you do it right, so that when you do stick the new label on, however you're fixing it appropriately for the container you're using, that it stays on. So the last thing we wanted to go into, some of you may already be familiar with this. Hopefully lots of you are already part of it. QBP is a great partner of us, and I understand also works closely with NVDA. And just actually a year ago, almost exactly, we launched a new program specifically for bike shops called the BikeFlights QBP Top Shop Program. And want to make sure everyone's aware of it. If you're not signed up, we'd love to have you do it and join us. There's no charge or anything to do so. It's very simple to get set up. This program is open to any bike shop who has a QBP account. So if you have a QBP account, you can join this program. Some of the benefits include the listing in our bike shop finder, which helps us point our customers in your direction. It also gives you an additional discount off of our already very discounted rates. That discount gets applied automatically as you book. You don't have to do anything special. You don't have to wait for a rebate to come. It applies right away, and it applies not only to your shipping rates, but also to things like your pickup fees and the amount of protection that you purchase. So quite significant. And then finally, you also get a discount off of our bike boxes. It's really simple to apply. Go to our website, bikeflights.com/QBP Top Shop. It literally takes a minute or two to fill in your contact information, and one of our colleagues will be in touch with you to get your account set up and answer any questions you might have. And again, I want to point you back to our YouTube channel. We have another great new video out on our Top Shop program, which goes into more detail than we have time to go into today on the program, but you can watch that video and learn about the benefits and features of the program. So summarize today, we are happy to introduce ourselves, talk about some of the common misconceptions in shipping, and go into some detail about specific strategies for using BikeFlights for your shop and for your customers, and sharing some of our best practices. We hope you'll become a top shop if you're not already. And this wraps up our presentation, and we'd love to answer any questions you might have. But I will say before we do that if you're ever shipping with us and you have any questions at all, or you need any help with a shipment or a change to a shipment, contact us directly. We work with UPS, which is a great carrier, but we have a lot of pretty deep connections within UPS. So you need an address change, you need somebody not tracking, you have to file a claim. We handle all that directly and very quickly and very efficiently. So if you need anything, reach out to us at any time. And we're happy to answer any questions you might have. I'm going to stop sharing the screen.
Perfect. We do have a couple questions that came in, so I'm just going to read them off for you.
Sure.
So the first one is, are you still able to ship 165 inch boxes?
We do ship 165-inch boxes domestically. Internationally, you cannot get them to come into the US.
Okay.
I mean, you can
So-
ship them freight. You just can't ship them parcel, and we stay away from large freight shipments.
Okay. Does your insurance add another layer beyond what UPS offers? Their process is very involved.
Yeah, our UPS.com offers liability coverage, which is a program that we don't participate in. Liability coverage is about a 37% honor rate. Our program is actually we are fully insured every single package for the value declared on it, and we have more of a 95% honor rate depending on the packaging used.
Perfect. Here's a question about measuring your box and putting in the measurements. What about if there is a bulge caused by the shippers? If there is a bulge in one of the sides, do you count that into the full box size when you're entering the dimensions?
The bulge?
You want to measure at the widest possible part. So sometimes people make the mistake of measuring at the corners, which you can't really bulge at a corner. If your package does bulge by virtue of what you put in it and how you packed it, measure it at the widest part, because the carrier scanners will automatically scan the widest part as well.
Right.
Perfect. And when you're entering for the insurance, when you're entering the value of the item inside the box, should you go for the wholesale rate or what you sold the retail rate?
Generally what you sold the retail rate, because generally we would settle the claim most likely with the customer, right, at that point, of the recipient. Unless you want to, so we generally, if somebody say someone buys a $2,500 bike, generally you would want to make sure that you cover that for $2,500, because if the customer files a claim upon getting the bike and says, hey, it's damaged, you already got paid for the bicycle, and we would settle the claim with the customer, and therefore you didn't lose the sale. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect.
Bikes are really, I mean, we really stress that, especially when bikes are really hard to find right now, or replace, or even parts.
Yeah. Great. Here's just a comment that I thought was great. We had a small package returned from Canada because of an almost invisible hazmat diamond imprinted on the cardboard of the box. Expensive lesson.
I can't tell you. I mean, we just spent, we just made another video covering this, because just the tiniest little fraction is picked up by the scanners. So the diamond can't show. The new video was just released like 2 to 3 weeks ago. Probably in response to this, just to try to make sure that everybody does not have to learn this lesson the hard way.
Right.
They take it really seriously if they see any part of that sticker imprint, they don't ignore it. They notice it.
Yeah, and I mean, and some of the new cartons for e-bikes are some of the best reusable shipping boxes, right? They've gone one trip and they're super sturdy, and you want to pack a mountain bike that might weigh 35 pounds, you're going to grab a really good box. And if you don't cover that little diamond piece on it, it won't go very far.
All right, and then it looks like the last question that we have sent in was, which carriers do you use? You mentioned UPS, but do you use others?
We currently are about 99% UPS. We do have a couple other internal carriers for like swag internally, right? But most of everything we ship for the customer is currently UPS worldwide. And the reason we do that is the same tracking number worldwide.
And we did have one more question come in here right at the end. So do you still attend events? Can people see you in person at events later this year?
Yeah, we do still attend events. We obviously cut back and attended none when COVID was in full force, and we're about to go back to our first event coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend at Unbound. We'll be there, and we do have an event calendar for this year. It's not going to be quite as extensive as previous years, but we will be at several events, and we've noticed that a lot of our event partners are in fact having events this year. We've been really pleasantly surprised with almost everybody's doing something, and we're continuing to work as well remotely with a lot of our event partners to make sure their rider shipments get to and from the events on time.
Yeah, the fall looks really promising for events as more and more people get vaccines. A lot of, we will be at Sea Otter if anybody's going to come out and venture at Sea Otter. But the fall, September, October look to be some of the busiest event seasons we've seen.
Yeah. Cool.
And then one more comment, BikeFlights has the best t-shirts.
We do. I mean, that's we pride ourselves on that. If we do, like, if you're out and, at Top Shops, if you're out at an event, we usually have ask us for a t-shirt your size. We generally have one.
And they're so good that I'm still wearing my 100,000 shipment t-shirt. I just haven't worn out yet, even though we're about to hit 1 million.
Yeah. And we will have we're still looking for good ideas. If anybody has some good ideas for 1 million served artwork, other than the McDonald's, other than the arches of some sort, we're looking for ideas. So.
Perfect. All right, that was all of the questions we got. So you put your email up earlier if people had any further questions and want to contact you.
Yeah,
great.
Perfect.
Thank you very much for having us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with us and for sharing all of your tips. I know it was helpful for me, and looking and helping our dealers in the future. So I hope it was helpful for everyone on the call too. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.